Hi everyone, this is Finding Your Voice, and I'm Shannon. I know it's been a couple months since I've really posted any videos on YouTube, and to anyone that may follow, thank you for your patience. Been processing a wide variety of lessons and emotions, and I kind of want to talk about one of them. And I thank you in advance if I kind of squirrel a little bit through this. There's a lot to talk about, and I want to try to keep this somewhat brief. The first thing I will say is learning to process feelings and emotions, especially when the way you perceive things has come from an unhealed childhood. And though I have done a tremendous amount of work on that, it still takes time and it still takes lessons to show you what areas still need to come to light and what areas still need to be healed and processed. And a situation that happened recently evolved me taking a chance and deciding to put myself out there in the dating world. And one of the things that I learned is as I was chatting with an individual, um, yes, the connection seemed good, and it was. And I realized that there were some things that I need to still fine tune in myself. And one of those happens to be following my intuition. Now, the intuition that I needed to follow actually had nothing to do with them, had to do with myself. In that we had agreed to talk that night, and I woke up that morning with a really, really bad headache. And the closer we got to the phone call time, I was just like, I felt like I was being nudged to, you know what, just postpone the call. This migraine is the worst one you've had in a really long time, and maybe, just maybe, you should rest tonight and take the night off. And here's where it gets really tricky. I should have listened. And it didn't dawn on me until last night. So almost a week later, it didn't dawn on me until last night that my go to old, unhealed way of doing things is to push through the pain no matter what. And part of that is because when you grow up in a volatile home with multiple types of abuses, you learn first and foremost you don't have a choice. You have to push forward. You have to push through the pain. So my go-to is I push through the pain and I make it happen. And I realize that's old energy. And what I should have done is I should have said, "Hey, I'm feeling poorly. Can we wait till tomorrow?" And the second issue was that not only did I push through the pain, it caused me, I use the term filter. I used to say, "Oh, my filter's broken today," meaning anything's going to come out of my mouth. Last night, I changed that terminology from filter to control valve. And what I mean by that is when a person's feeling less than ideal, or they're under the weather, or say they're stressed or something, their control valve on how and what they say is not controlled. It's wide open and out comes everything. Or maybe, it comes out in a way that you would have presented it in a better light if you were feeling yourself or feeling better. That was my second biggest mistake of the night. And I said something that was along my thought patterns of how I think, yet with my control valve being wide open, I said it possibly in a less than ideal way. And in doing so, I allowed myself to say, oh, I think a certain way about certain matters. And because my control valve was wide open, I presented it in a way that it was misinterpreted. That being said, that basically sealed the deal, and the relationship stopped pretty much right then and there. Other things could have happened. Other things should have happened. I'm just owning my part. I'm owning the part I played in the night. And that's what happens when you're working on being a better version of yourself, is when you make a mistake, you got a couple of different choices. One, do you learn your lesson and file it away for future references? Or do you basically blame everybody else and, well, that wasn't my fault? And in this case, again, like I said, it took two. We both made mistakes. I, however, am taking my lessons, and I'm admitting I made the mistake. I should have. I didn't want to miss the phone call because we had postponed the night before because we were both tired, and I was excited. I wanted to talk with this person. I wanted to connect because I liked where it was going. It felt natural. It felt real. And to that person, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing me that there is potential out there and that there is someone out there for me. And I hope that you can see that there's someone out there for you. The thing that I learned is that your person will, whether they like what you say or not, they will pause and they will say, I kind of don't like where you're going with this conversation, and we need to table the topic. And if both people are on the level that they need to be compatible for each other, they'll honor that, and they're like, all right, you know what? I agree with you. Let's table this and come back to it. Partly because things get said when you're not feeling well. Things get said differently than they should have. There's a vast, wide plethora of lessons for me in this situation, at least. And I wished I had paid attention. I really do. I wish I had listened to my intuition. I wish I had honored the pain that I was feeling, the physical pain that I was feeling, and said, I need the rest. Because I will always wonder, would things have been different? And so, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the lessons. As tough as they are, I will take them. and I will honor my part, and I will do better if and when there's a next time for me. And to that person, I I hope I wish them the best. And I hope that they continue on their journey doing what they need to do for themselves. And I hope that one day that they can look at me and say, you know what, I appreciate the lessons, and they can honor that aspect of me, um, and go from there. And then I hope it makes their life richer down the road. Thank you to everyone for allowing me to say this. Thank you for allowing me to be seen and heard. And I do hope that there's some value in these words. Uh, it's hard being exposed, being raw and real. And I've told you from the start that that's what this is all about. And though when this originally happened, I took a step back and I was like, I have to stop. I'm not sure I'm ready for this. And I'm still pondering that. I'm still pondering about getting the podcast started sooner rather than later. For right now, though, I'm working on some of these deep, deep lessons I've been getting the last several months. And I'm working on getting myself into a position that when I do these podcasts, whether I'm misunderstood or vilified or seen as whatever it is people see me as, that I'm strong enough and capable enough to push through it with grace and humility, and do so in a way that I don't hurt anyone. Because there's a lot of us out here who are hurting. And one thing I definitely want to avoid is bringing more pain, when in reality, all I want to do is bring love and healing and maybe make a difference. And I think that is probably the hardest part of losing whatever it may have been with this person, is that truly is what I was trying to do. And that is truly what I want to do, is to help people heal so that there's more love out in the world. And I did a poor job expressing it that way, and that's my bad. So thank you for this time. Thank you for seeing me in a way that allows me to take the time I need to make sure that the messages I'm bringing to you guys is one filled with that intention versus the intention that was heard last week from this person, because that was the furthest thing from my intent. I wish everyone a beautiful day. I hope your years are off to a great start. Um, push forward for yourself. Continue to do your healing for yourself, and know that I will eventually get my podcast up, and I eventually will get more and more YouTube videos up for you guys. And have a great day with much love and respect.